Just like you, your art is a big deal. But it's not always easy to stand out and sell your work. If you find all that posting, promoting, and marketing a challenge, then I have some good news. In my new ebook, 10 industry experts share their top art marketing and selling tips. This guide is free and ready for you to download. Go to www.sonjasmalheer.com.
A lot of artists find it difficult to write about their work. But Google is a word search engine, not a picture search engine. Nobody goes to, I'm looking for a red or blah, blah, blah. So you have to make sure that you describe your art very, very well. So you are findable by Google. But also understand, if you're aiming on selling in Holland, you have to do it in Dutch, because Dutch people don't put in Google English searching engine. So you will go to completely different websites. I strongly believe in galleries, right? I absolutely believe that they're valuable, especially for people who know how to buy art. I'm getting invitations to the launch, and I can go there and have a couple of glasses of white wine, but that doesn't mean that I want to buy art at that point. And I think a lot of artists spend a lot of money on white wine instead of marketing.
My name is Sonja Smalheer. I'm an artist, art coach, and course creator. When I graduated from the Art Academy, I had learned how to paint and how to draw, but I had no idea how to earn a living with my creativity. I was not prepared for the life as a working artist. This often left me quite frustrated, sometimes on the verge of calling it quits, throwing away my brushes and giving it all up. But I'm so glad I didn't. After many failed attempts and valuable lessons learned, I've discovered ways to turn my creativity into a profession, now giving me the freedom to live the life I love. I created the Help I'm Artist podcast because no matter where you are on your journey, whether you're just starting out or maybe you've been a working artist for a while, you too can take steps to turn your creative passions into a meaningful, sustainable profession. The Help I'm Artist podcast is filled with fresh inspiration, practical tips, and interviews with artists who are experts in their field. If you're a smart artist or one in the making who's looking for new and exciting ways to get your art out of your studio and into the hands and hearts of an audience that's appreciative and willing to pay what it's worth, then you're in the right place. Happy listening. Mauritz, wonderful that you could join me for the Help I'm Artist podcast. We're so excited to hear your story, your passion for art and for artists. We'd just love for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and your background before we dive into your great new project that you have started.
Okay, well, thank you for having me to begin with. So my name is Mauritz Briët. I'm 52 years old, live in Amsterdam, and I'm a television producer. I've been so for 30 years already. And the last 10 years, I've been working as an international consultant for global TV formats, which I creatively support in being more successful. So I fly around the world and help production teams to create a good licensed format in their country.
So you have something with artists and with creativity.
Well, actually, I started studying photography before I went into the television. And I actually ran into photographers, started a production company called Mauritz Productions when I was 21 years old at that point. So I was a representative of all kinds of photographers. And from that point on, I actually started more getting into production. So ended up in television and did the long run of television in having all kinds of different TV shows, which I produced for Joop van den Ende Productions and later Animal, and on the model convention together with Marianne Verkerk, in which we connect people who want to be a model to the biggest international modeling agencies worldwide. And from that point on, actually, that was the basis of Creative Talent Network, which is my holding. Since then, actually, I've been connecting creative talent.
So an array of experiences and also exposure of what's happening and what's relevant in the art world. And yet you zoomed into that special niche of online selling of art, a platform called Artist Attic Online. Can you just tell us a little bit about your platform and how that transition happened, and why you're so excited about it?
The funny thing is, I was at a Christmas dinner with the mother of my girlfriend, and she's an artist. Her boyfriend is an artist too. And he was like so outspoken. He was such a strong personality, and he was very strong in his words and things like that. And I went through the house and I saw a painting and I said, "Oh, whose is this?" And he said, "Oh yeah, it's mine. My entire apartment in Amsterdam is packed with paintings, and I'm not so comfortable in selling them, or because I don't know how to do it." This is where I made the connection as a television producer. Why is it that art never uses the artist personality as a selling point, as a marketing tool, but only do that when they are famous? And from a television point of view, I thought that's really, really strange, because we as television producers are looking for content, and artists are content. And this is why I got the idea that I should put the artist's attic, I should put it online. So what's in the name? So that became Artist Attic Online. So before Christmas, I asked a good friend of mine to design a logo. I started crowdfunding to raise money to get everything settled and done, and also trying to sell some paintings before we even get started. At that point, I started developing the website with a company that I worked with for the modeling agency that I worked for. And I wanted to make sure that it was like a very fashionable and not so much into art, but like a very fashionable way of looking at art. So all these things combined got me the Artist Attic Online platform, and started looking for artists who wanted to have their art exposed, no cure, no pay. Because that's one of the unique selling points of Artist Attic. I really believe that a lot of people don't know how to show themselves and how to expose themselves, and that you really need a marketing machine to make sure that you have a lot of people seeing your art. If you sell 1 out of 100,000, you have to make sure that 1 million people see it. That's basically the statistic behind the Artist Attic Online. A lot of people need to see it, and if they see it, then they have the chance of buying it. If nobody sees it, nobody will buy it.
So you have sort of filled that gap for them, because they find it difficult, just like you were saying with the boyfriend of your, I think your girlfriend's mom that you met, the spark, the inspiration, that he found it difficult to communicate and talk about his art. So then you combining that with your marketing background and with a platform and a network to fill in that gap so that he becomes more exposed and artists find a greater reach.
I truly believe that, a lot of artists make a website. Awesome. Great. But if nobody comes to that website to visit it, why did you spend your time and money making that website? Because it's not about the website. It's about the fact that you generate traffic to that website. And that takes a lot of time, effort, and investments as well. You have to have a good SEO. You have to have good ads running on socials. You have to make sure that everything in the background of your website is programmed so that people find it in each way possible so that you get exposed. People search only in their own language on Google. So if you want to sell a painting, put your website in English, because you hope a lot of people from the UK or wherever, or English people look at it. A Dutch person will never go find painting. They will say a schilderij kopen or something like that. So you will not be visible in Google. This is why at this point, the website artistattic.online is in Dutch, in English, in French, and in German at this point. And we're now making sure that it all keeps on going. So a lot of people can see it, in the hope that the more people that see it, percentage will buy it.
Yeah. So you're creating that greater exposure in different languages using the SEO, and more people will engage with the pieces. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm really curious about the name Artist Attic Online. What was your thought behind that?
A lot of artists have art that nobody ever saw. They're basically on their attic. Like I said, I want to put the attic of the artists online. It doesn't get more simple than that. When I started doing this, I went to a little school. I started making the first clips to have the promotion started. And I went to an old school in which there were like 20 artists there. And literally their attic was filled with hundreds of paintings. And they told me, as soon as this artist died, it all goes into the trash. And this was actually, again, a sign of, this is a good idea. We need to make sure that people are going to see this art before it's gone to waste or gone to trash. because it's beautiful. And a lot of people think that art is very expensive, that art is impossible to buy for most people. A lot of people are not so common in going to a gallery, are not so common to go into an art fair, are not so common in going to a website and looking for art because they don't know that it's affordable. They think it's difficult, it's blasé, it has a lot of obstacles before you really come to see what you want to see. And Artist Attic Online wants to swap that around. So we want to make it so easy for you to see what's on the website. There's not a lot of text explaining what you should think of this or what the category is and where you should place this. Or it's just a wall of endless paintings, sculptures, drawings, photographs in which you think, I like it. And you can see immediately how much it costs. So you can afford it or you can't, and you can buy it. Simple as hell. And yes, I make portrait of all the artists, not about where the paintings were made or not about what education they had, but only about the heart and the personality of these artists. What drives them to come out of bed every morning? What drives them to make this? And how many cappuccinos do they need before they get started? Do they need to walk the dog first? What makes them laugh? What makes them cry? How do people think about them? I believe that artists sell the most to people who like them. And I want to give, and that's what's one of the punchlines of Artist Attic Online as well, adding heart to art. So in the moment you know who created it and with what passion or with what craftsmanship or with what time and effort they put into it, the more value it gets and the more likable it becomes. We really want to add heart to art.
I love it. And just the way you present them so beautifully with the videos, we will definitely put the URL in the notes so people can have a look of how beautiful it is. And it's like the whole presentation is just so, it's really such an experience. It's really a gallery experience, because at a gallery, you also don't see a lot of text on the wall. And, it's the whole experience of walking into a space and seeing where your eye goes and, hearing about the artists. And I just love how you've translated that into the online space. It's a breath of fresh air to have a look at. So well done for that.
Yeah, it's, like I said, we really wanted to make it fashion more than art. And do it different than in my perception, the art world has been doing it until now. You see a lot of portraits about artists, and it's also serious. And me as a program producer, a television producer, we live in a world that has no attention span whatsoever. So you need to keep it so short, and you need to keep it like teasingly and contently interesting that you think, what's going on? I want to know what's going on. This is why we cut all the videos of all the artists which are represented by Artist Attic Online into small pieces as well, in which we advertise on socials. Just not to tell a story, but basically actually to just try to punch people and push them and go like, what is this?
Yeah.
and I put like Artist Attic Online, what's that? That you really can't forget about it. And that when you start looking for art, that you go like, okay, what was that annoying thing again? That was Artist Attic Online. Let's go there. As a television producer, I really believe in that. We need to make sure that people are programmed that the attic of artists is interesting. It's affordable, not cheap. It's affordable. Prices on Artist Attic Online go from €100 to 7,000 at this point. And that will expand it every way. But it's very affordable art. A lot of people go to the IKEA and buy a picture of New York where they've never been. And I say, why don't you buy an original artwork from one of the artists? It's beautiful.
Can you just tell us a little bit about maybe one or two of the artists that you have? Because you were saying different genres and different styles.
Yes, we went live with like 20 artists. And for example, one of the artists, Tamara Tantico, is a fantastic person, a beautiful woman that creates like very funny paintings about birds in very strange situations. The funny thing is that she thinks for hours and hours how she's going to call the paintings, but she always forgets the painting's name after it's finished. So what is that again? She doesn't remember. She also creates dresses. She always wears one dress and in all different fabrics with all different kinds of fabrics from all over the world. And she's been doing that for years and years and years. And this person has like the paintings that she creates is funny, it's skeptical, it's got everything in it. And you would like to have I have a black wall behind here. I would love to have 6 paintings of her on that wall. That would be so awesome. Yeah. And you look at it and you really think that you a lot of people just start to laugh and see the cynicism which is in it as well, in combination with the happy thoughts. It's very positive paintings. And and for example, Theo Spy is one of our artists as well. This like he's such a good guy, which you really see back in his paintings, and the love for painting and the fragile personality that has a lot to contribute. And if you add his heart to his art, you'll love it even more. But they're all in their way, they're very special. And I think my analysis regarding why don't you use the personality of the artist to bring heart to the art? Why doesn't the art world do that? I really don't understand, because if you look outside, and no judgment, but the hundreds, thousands, millions of people lead a normal, ordinary life. Artists basically never do. They stick their necks out. Actually, everybody said, I'm difficult or I'm boring. I'm difficult or I'm stubborn. They're all stubborn, right? They all have very solid way of speaking for themselves and making their own course and their own decision. And that personality is so interesting. I shoot those videos myself, and it's absolutely the highlight for me of Artist Attic Online, because getting really the personality out of a person who's not common in talking often on camera. So it's very nice to do. It's really great. Before I went live, I was trying to establish a varied package of artists. Now, since I am live, we're more and more looking for what are we missing, where are we going, what is the thing that our customers seem to like. Also, because I've created the plan, which is artist alumni as well. An artist alumni is looking for people who just graduated art school and just don't have their attic full with art, but just have like a couple of things that are really ready to sell. They're probably not very expensive, but they are very interesting because very fresh and new. We give them also a no cure, no pay position on Artist Attic. And it also brings a different way of communicating with our audience. So it's not only the attic, attic can be dusty, right? The alumni are not dusty. So they're kind of fresh. So that brings the different way of communicating, because it's all about PR, obviously, as well. And what we started as well is the artist basement. So if you are a person and you have art in your house that you want to sell, you can put it on marketplaces and things like that. But where a better place to get it sold is on the place where people are looking for art. So you can look at the artist and see all the work that's been created by artists, but you also go to the basement and see what's actually left over, which also brings a new traffic to the website and a different way of communicating and a different way of having press releases to having a different audience. There's nothing new about a website with art, nothing. But the way that you communicate, the way that you are trying to attract people to come to the website, the generating of traffic, that is different.
So how does the audience experience this whole online buying and viewing experience? Because I mean, the best way to look at and experience art is in person. How are you finding that translation of looking at something online and people actually purchasing and shipping it?
A lot of platforms sell online. And yes, it's not for everyone. not everybody wants to do this. I believe if you really get to know the people behind it, it's going to be easier to purchase. So that's basically what we're doing with teasing, with snippets on social. So you get you're teased, and then you can go to the website. You see the entire genre of the artist, but also the video portray of the artist. So you can really get to know the artists. And if that's enough for everybody, I think not. Some people will always always want to see it. The good thing is that if you are interested, you always have the right to return it, obviously, the legal right. And if you don't mind paying for the transfer cost, you can also always look at it at your own wall at that point. But that's what we're adding right now in the future as well. We have the possibility of having this art piece in so many different ways, like with mock-ups, and we can put it on the website. So you can get a real idea how it would look at a wall and how it would look at your wall even. So we can easily add that.
What would you say is the biggest challenge facing artists in these days?
I truly believe that the biggest challenge at this point is to get an audience. You can go to art markets, you can post a social ad or something. But before, when I was working on a modeling agency, I spent like 50 euros and I reached 120,000 people for 50 euros on socials. These days, you reach not even 1,000 people for 50 euros. So it needs a very different strategy. If you see how very complicated it is to be visible on this social platform and this Google platform, it is very, very difficult, it's very challenging. What I would recommend every artist is, and I don't think a lot of people do, but Google Analytics tells you everything you need to know. Just make sure that Google Analytics is connected to your website and you see how many people a day or an hour or a second, real time, are looking at your website. You can see where they're from, which town, which city. You have so much information. And then you can make a calculation about, am I really expecting that, and I'm being sarcastic right now, but am I really expecting that these 10 people are all potential buyers? The answer is no. The fact that they looked at it means nothing about that they're going to buy it or not. It's all about the numbers. If you want to make or sell art, you have to make sure that thousands and thousands of people see it. If they don't see it, they will not buy it. I'm looking at Google Analytics all the time, and it helps me to understand if I'm doing the right thing or if I should hire somebody to please explain to me how I'm going to do it right. But, you see that now, the thousands of people who are already watching Artist Attica online is already, but still, it doesn't mean that they all want to buy. They could be just curious, or they could be bored.
Yeah.
For all I know, we have to make sure that the traffic keeps on going. And what's also very important, a lot of artists find it difficult to write about their work, but Google is a word search engine, not a picture search engine. Nobody goes to, I'm looking for a red or blah, blah, blah. So you have to make sure that you describe your art very, very well, so you are findable by Google. But also understand, if you're aiming on selling in Holland, you have to do it in Dutch, because Dutch people don't put in Google English searching engine. So you will go to completely different websites. All these kinds of things. I strongly believe in galleries, right? I absolutely believe that they're valuable, especially for people who know how to buy art and to buy art. But the art I bought, I'm getting invitations to the launch, and I can go there and have a couple of glasses of white wine. But that doesn't mean that I want to buy art at that point. And I think a lot of artists spend a lot of money on white wine instead of marketing. That doesn't sell art. And with all the art galleries in the world, how many have most people seen? That's not a lot. And yes, they can put it on the website, but if they don't spend money on marketing, on SEO and SEA, then they're just as unseen as the website of the artist. So what's the difference? You know, I have the luck that I've a lot of experience in this market. I have online marketing strategist who is on my side, who helps me. I rented out an online marketing agency who is doing everything when it comes out to the technique. So, but that's impossible for most artists to do.
If someone is not being able to go through an online platform and they have to do it themselves, is it still possible?
Well, you know, it's all about scale. There is an amount of people who buy from you percentage-wise. And if the percentage is 1% out of 100,000 people that see your art, then, like I said before, you have to make sure that millions of people see it. You know, and I think like art markets and galleries and things like that, they're very useful and absolutely, because people who are interested in buying art are there. So the percentage of people that you need to reach is a lot less, obviously. I don't know the number, but if you have 10,000 people who go to an art market, there's potentially 2,000 people who are willing to buy if they find something, which is a lot higher than if you go online, obviously, because the fact that you open your phone or your laptop and you see art doesn't mean that you want to buy it. You weren't even thinking about buying it. So the scale is a lot higher on that account. And that's an extra obstacle when it comes to online selling, obviously.
So it needs a different strategy if you're going to use that online space. Because that's what I find is that many artists think, I'm just putting something on Instagram, so I'm sure it's going to be selling. And then they're wondering, well, why is no one interacting with my art? I'm getting some likes, and they're usually their friends and family, but they're not selling. But it needs a different strategy than maybe a few years ago. It's just overcrowded.
Well, you need to build a database, and that's the most difficult thing at this time. And therefore, you need a very broad variety of content, and you need like cliffhangers, because people, if they see your art, then they see it, but it doesn't mean they want to buy it. You need to have a big variety of art that they have the biggest potential of being satisfied on that account. And then you still got no guarantee if people would like it either, because there's so many art in this world. But the combination of adding art to art and in combination with you have a huge variety and the branding of getting to know a business. I think, okay, if I want to buy art, I need to go there. That these things should change the way how that should work. But yes, that takes months and months. And it's territory for territory. So yes, the website is now in English, Dutch, German, and French. But first, I really need to get the sales done and advertising done in the Netherlands before the next market you can conquer. So it takes a lot of time, and it takes months before you get any results on all your time and effort.
Yeah, so it really is a slow process, and it's the concentric circles keep going out, and then getting to know your audience. Yeah.
But the beautiful thing about art is when it grows on you, it sticks on you, right? And you start thinking about, oh my God, which painting do I like best? Oh, can I swap this one for that? What can I do with that one? I can sell it in the basement of Artist Attic, of course. But I love art. I love how it grows on people. And you know, just like in the old days, people had a house for life, had a partner for life. They also had art for life. Well, we all know we don't have houses for life anymore. We all know we don't have partners for life more too, and not that often. And I really believe that we should go in a position that we don't have art for life as well. It should circulate. It should be part of phases of your life, and it should come and go.
And why should someone have art on their wall? What is it about art that makes life just so much more interesting and a good space to be?
Let me rephrase this question. Why shouldn't you? There's no reason for me not to have art on your wall. I think, unless, you know, if you think that IKEA art is art, fine. I stay in hotels a lot. I see all these, IKEA bullshit. And I feel that when I'm staying in those hotel rooms, the room is empty. It's got no heart. And having art in your house is a visualization of your personality. It's an inspiration, and it gives a lot of warmth and depth to your personality, I think. And I don't believe that, you know, you should only have one kind of art and everything that needs to be combined. You know, that's not how life works. That's not how people work, in my perspective. The variations of art that I have in my house goes from Monique Rodenburg, which is a very tongue-in-cheek girl. It's like very funny. I can send you a picture so you can show. Or this original artwork, which I bought in Thailand. It's a guy was sitting on the floor for a month with a pen drawing this two-piece work. And it brings, it's called city life, so you see the people running in all directions and actually not paying attention to one another. But it really grew on me because it's like the life that we live, and especially I travel a lot from cities to cities, so I felt connected to that. But I think it's special to have something like that and have a story about it. And this also inspired me about telling the story. In the corner of the painting, I have a picture of the artist on the floor drawing it with the dog sitting next to him. It brings extra dimensions. Again, adding heart to art.
Mauritz, you maybe have a quote or like a life verse that you live by that you can share?
I think the most important one would be simple may not always be the best, but the best is always simple. I think a lot of people think very complicated about things. And as an entrepreneur, I've been working on a lot of things. And the only thing that always stuck was when it was simple and not complicated. And, simple may not always be the best, but the best is always simple. And I really believe that's true.
And any books that you can recommend that people can read that is like, oh, this is a book that was life-changing, would be good for artists to read, getting maybe into another mindset?
This is one book that really changed my life, and it's called Addicted to Love from Jan Geurts. For me, that was the beginning of a change of how I looked at my life. And I think that a lot of people, everybody should read that book. You can also download it for like €7.50 as a listening, as a podcast book kind of way. So, but it really changed my way of looking at life. I'm not very much of a reader. I have my attention span that's too fast for that. But I'm blessed by the fact that I have been traveling for the last 12 years, almost like 200 days a year, except for COVID, obviously. And I think being abroad or working in other parts of the world or working in other countries and having nothing, no music and no TV, which that is part of your life. And I think a lot about these things, and they put everything in perspective, and that really inspired me on so many occasions.
Mauritz, where can people find you or follow you or look at your beautiful website?
Well, go to artistsattic.online, obviously. In the corner, you have all connections to all our social media pages where you can follow me, and my LinkedIn page if they want to contact me. But, on Google, there's a phone number. You can always reach me at artistsattic.online.
Wonderful. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, too.
Well, that's all for this week. If you want extra support in marketing and building a business around your creativity, then you're welcome to join me and a group of wonderful artists from around the world in the Help I'm Artist Facebook group. Here you'll find a video version of this podcast and other episodes. Don't forget to download your free art marketing guide. You can head over to www.sonjasmalheer.com. And if you don't ever want to miss an episode, then you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to this episode. And leave a review, as this will make the podcast more visible and easier for other artists to find it. Thanks for that. Have an amazing week, and I look forward to connecting with you next time. Until then.